was President Kenyatta, because he's the president of this country, I would do a number of things. First of all, I would de-escalate the clamor for partisan constitutional change. How would I do it? I would invite the opposition and tell them, I know you have something called Okoa Kenya. My people also have something, Boresha Katiba, there is Pesa Mashinani. Let us sit down together and determine whether we want to amend the constitution so that we work on it from a bipartisan approach. That is the first thing I would do. I would also look at my country and do a Magufuli and tell the country that we want a lean, mean government. This is not the time to expand government. Do a Magufuli, walk around the country and demonstrate by word and deed that you want to lead from the front. I would also ensure that in terms of dealing with national cohesion, I would come out and demonstrate that this country belongs to all Kenyans, and I would jettison a number of individuals around me who are in the forefront of fueling corruption. And if he does that and does that with dedication and ensures that this country moves in the right trajectory, then President Kenyatta will be a leader worth his salt.
PLO, you've spent time in Tanzania. You just mentioned Magufuli. Is this man the real deal?
Magufuli is the real deal. And I can assure you that the spirit of Mwalimu Nyerere is alive and well in Magufuli. And those who think that this is just the momentum out of the election will be shocked. This is the gentleman who, in the next 10 years, is going to provide moral and political leadership in the East African region. I'm not a Jewish prophet nor related to one, but watch this space.
PLO, the man cancelled Independence Day celebrations. He cancelled them. He said, use the money and go and clean your neighborhoods.
As it should be.
Barrack, I mean, this guy...
Well, because sometimes we ask ourselves, well, what are we celebrating? Are we sometimes saluting failure? Are we saluting corruption? We come there and flatter ourselves with the belief that we have done very well with the statistics and so on. And most of the time what we are really celebrating is the opportunity to run ourselves down, that our destiny was placed in our hands and we were allowed to do howsoever we may wish to do with ourselves. So without belittling the significance of that day, because independence is also very important, self-determination is also very important, one needs to point out that this is a different way of marking and celebrating that great day. But, you know, if you think about the billions of shillings that we use, flying in people, flying out people, throwing big bashes, jamborees that we call celebrations, and you ask yourself, what are we celebrating? If you ask me as somebody who grew up in this town of Nairobi and went to school here, I know I've also told you I went to school in Emanyudia, which is true, but I also went to school here in Ofafa Jericho. Yes.
You did?
Yes, indeed. Here in Eastlands, in Ofafa Jericho, and this man was my neighbor. He hasn't told
when
you
about
about
St.
that.
Mary's.
And you are you're on the other side. You're on the wrong side of town.
Wrong side of the tracks.
Yes. I can tell you that there was more to celebrate in this country in the 1970s than there is to celebrate today. That we had a functional public transport system in Nairobi here, for example. We had a functional garbage collection system in this city, that we had paved walkways on the roadsides, leading even to our own homes in Eastlands, that they were paved, and that we had good lawns which were mowed every day by the City Council of Nairobi. We had treated water which we drank straight from the tap, cupping in our palms. That there was more to celebrate at that time than there is to celebrate now. I know in the next 10 days it's going to be our turn again to unrealistic statistics and say we have achieved this, we have achieved that, we have achieved something else. And we know that in real terms we have very little to celebrate.
You agree, PLO?
I agree. I agree. You know, on the 12th day of December, and that is a great day in the history of this nation, there is a sense in which the president will read your typical speeches. There'll be pomp and circumstance and the accompanying razzmatazz. But the truth is, in real terms, is it not the time to take stock? We have been a thieving nation with the devolved corruption in the last 2.5 years. If we could do a Magufuli and say this time round, What we are going to do, some will say it is copycat, but what is wrong with copying a good thing? If we could say this time round what we are going to do, there'll be no activity at Nyayo Stadium or Uhuru Park. We are simply going to go to the villages. Those of us who are in Nairobi, we go back to Eastlands, go back to Kawangware, go back to Mukuru Kwanjenga, go back to Mukuru Kayaba, those in Nakuru and Eldoret and different parts of the country, and we plant trees during this El Nino, and we ensure that this country is newly re-energized come 2016. That would be a better way of saving the 100 million plus that the bureaucrats will want us to consume on the 12th day of December.
Absolutely, and at the same time, just ask yourself, what would Magufuli do? Can we ever get a Magufuli here, PLO, Barrack? Is it possible? I mean, is that wishful thinking? Is that a pipe dream?
The electoral process before Barrack butts in, as presently constituted, where people are mobilized on the basis of ethnicity, where people are mobilized on the basis of corruption and bribery, where we have the same people who are moving from one party to the other and claiming that they are our saviors.
And they just change in the morning.
Absolutely. Where you have the Pharaoh claiming that he is Moses simply because he has a rod and staff in his hand. Where the monkeys are the same and the forest change. If we continue on that trajectory, Kenya will never have a Magufuli moment, which then calls into question, you Kenyans, wherever you are, you've got to ensure that when the elections are called, you vote individuals on the basis of the programs that they promise in education, in health, and in agriculture. Don't vote people because they come from your ethnic group. They don't help you when the chips are down. Yeah. When that happens, and I pray and hope that it will happen in the lifetime of many Kenyans, then Kenya will be the great country that it ought to be. But when I look at 2017, holding all factors constant, oh God, save Kenya.
That's deep, that's deep. But at the same time, Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere must be smiling wherever he is. He's smiling.
Yeah, he started off his country on the right footing. Remember that at the start of this show, we spoke of the philosophy, we spoke of the purpose, we spoke of the architecture, we spoke of the design of the state. And Mwalimu Julius Nyerere was thinking about a state that was going to be enabling the citizens to fulfill themselves and to have a wholesome life. He was thinking about a state in which everybody would be proud to be Tanzanian. Professor Ali Mazrui, God rest his soul in eternal peace, came up with this notion of what he called Tanzaphilia, from Tanzania and philia, love, the love that the Tanzanians feel towards their country, the love that they feel towards edified, dignified, and leadership that has got probity. Unlike what we have here. Somebody steals, we know very well this is a thief. You know, a thief is a thief. Even if he puts on a three-piece suit with a fourth piece in the pocket, like this one here, and he's a thief, he is still a thief. Even if he stays in the most leafy suburb, drives the latest state-of-the-art custom-made limousines, he is still a thief. We celebrate those kinds of people. In Tanzania, they would never do that. We need to get to a point where we actually find thieves repulsive. That yes, you may come here with all those things, and we must tell you, like Ben Mtobwa of Tanzania has said, pesa zako zinanuka. And before we have that, our pesa zako zinanuka moment, we're never going to have a Magufuli, and the architects of our independence are never going to smile wherever they are, like Mwalimu Julius Nyerere is doing.
Absolutely.